Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation. We'll be exploring some key management systems that help organizations operate smoothly and sustainably. On this slide, you'll see the main topics we'll cover: safety management system, quality management system, and environment management system, collectively known as IMS. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into each of these areas, understanding their importance and how they integrate to support overall organizational success. Let's get started. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Who are benefited? Well, this slide is really about understanding who stands to gain from the initiatives we're discussing. It's important to recognize that the benefits can extend across various groups. First, obviously, the primary beneficiaries are the end users or customers. They will experience improved services, better products, or more efficient processes. But it's not just them. The organization itself also benefits through increased efficiency, cost savings, and a stronger competitive position. Additionally, stakeholders like employees can benefit too, through enhanced work environments, skill development, and job satisfaction. And let's not forget the community or environment. If our initiatives promote sustainability or social responsibility, everyone in the broader community gains as well. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding who benefits helps us tailor our strategies to ensure maximum positive impact. It reminds us that successful projects are those that create value for all involved, fostering a more sustainable and inclusive growth model. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Let's take a closer look at IMS, which stands for Information Management System. This is a crucial component because it helps us organize and manage the vast amount of data we handle. Think of it as the backbone that supports all our information processes, ensuring everything is stored securely and is easily accessible when needed. The key point here is that an effective IMS not only improves efficiency, but also enhances decision-making. When data is well managed, we can analyze it more accurately and quickly, which ultimately drives better strategic choices. Additionally, IMS connects directly to our overall theme of digital transformation. It's about leveraging technology to streamline operations, reduce errors, and create a more agile organization. So, understanding and implementing a robust IMS is fundamental to staying competitive in today's data-driven world. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Now let's turn our attention to HLS clauses. These are fundamental components within the Hypertext Transfer Protocol live streaming, or HLS, that define how media segments are delivered and managed. Essentially, they act as the instructions or rules that help ensure smooth streaming experiences. Key points to keep in mind are that HLS clauses specify things like segment duration, playlist updates, and encryption details. They enable the player to understand how to fetch and play the media chunks effectively. Most importantly, these clauses are crucial for maintaining compatibility across different devices and networks. They also support features like adaptive bitrate streaming, which adjusts quality based on the viewer's connection. By understanding HLS clauses, we get a clearer picture of how robust, flexible, and reliable streaming solutions are built. This connects directly to our overall theme of delivering seamless media experiences in a constantly changing digital landscape. Let's take a closer look at the key clauses in this standard. Starting with Clause 1, Scope. This section clearly defines what the standard covers and where it applies, ensuring everyone understands the boundaries of the requirements. Moving on to Clause 2, Normative References, which lists other essential standards or documents that are necessary to properly implement this standard. Clause 3, Terms and Definitions, provides the standard terminology and definitions used throughout the document, helping to maintain clarity and consistency. Then we have Clause 4, Context of the Organization, which emphasizes the importance of understanding both the internal and external factors that can impact the organization, as well as identifying key stakeholders. Next is Clause 5, Leadership. This highlights the critical role of top management in demonstrating commitment, establishing policies, and defining roles and responsibilities to drive the system forward. Clause 6, Planning, focuses on identifying risks and opportunities, setting clear objectives, and outlining actions to achieve them. Clause 7, Support, covers the resources needed, including competence, communication, and maintaining documented information to support the system effectively. Moving to Clause 8, Operation, which describes the core processes and activities necessary to meet the system's requirements and deliver value. Then we have Clause 9, Performance Evaluation, where monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation are key to understanding how well the system is performing. Lastly, Clause 10, Improvement, emphasizes the ongoing process of making continual improvements, addressing nonconformities, and implementing corrective actions to enhance overall effectiveness. Together, these clauses form a comprehensive framework that guides organizations toward consistent performance and continual growth. Hoje vamos falar sobre a ISO 45001 que execute uma norma internacional para sistemas de gestão de saúde e segurança ocupacional. Essa norma tem como objetivo principal ajudar as organizações a criar ambientes de trabalho mais seguros e saudáveis. Ela fornece uma estrutura para identificar riscos, implementar controls e melhorar continuamente as condições de trabalho. O mais importante e acute, que ela promove uma cultura de prevenção, onde todos estão envolvidos na gestão de segurança. Isso se conecta diretamente ao tema geral de nossa apresentação, que acute importância de integrar práticas de segurança na rotina de todas as empresas. Implementar essa norma não só protege os colaboradores, mas também fortalece a reputação e a eficiência operacional da organização. Let's take a closer look at some of the key benefits of ISO 45001. First, employee safety is a top priority. Implementing this standard helps reduce workplace incidents, injuries, and health issues by identifying and controlling hazards before they cause harm. Next, legal compliance is crucial. ISO 45001 helps organizations meet various local, national, and international health and safety regulations, which can save you from potential fines or legal issues. Risk management is another significant benefit. It encourages a proactive approach, allowing you to identify and manage occupational health and safety risks before they turn into bigger problems. Enhancing your organizational reputation is also a major advantage. Showing a strong commitment to employee well-being can positively influence your brand image and stakeholder trust. Employee morale tends to improve when workers see that safety and health are prioritized. This leads to increased trust, engagement, and overall satisfaction among your team. Operational efficiency benefits as well. By reducing accidents and disruptions, you minimize downtime and related costs, making your operations smoother and more reliable. There are also financial incentives. Improved risk profiles can lead to lower insurance premiums, which adds to your organization's cost savings. ISO 45001 promotes a culture of continuous improvement. Regular assessments, learning, and adaptation help your organization stay ahead in safety performance over time. Building stakeholder confidence is another key point. When customers, suppliers, investors, and regulators see your commitment to safety, it fosters trust and strengthens relationships. Finally, ISO 45001 is highly compatible with other ISO standards like ISO 9001 and ISO 14001. Its high-level structure makes integration straightforward, supporting a more cohesive management system across different areas. All these benefits tie back to the core theme of creating a safer, more efficient, and reputable organization that values its people and continuously seeks improvement. Now let's look at what Clause 1, Scope, is all about. This part sets the stage by clearly defining the purpose of the standard and where it applies. It helps us understand what is covered and ensures everyone is on the same page. Moving on to Clause 2, Normative References. This section lists the key documents and standards that are essential for applying this standard correctly. Think of it as the foundational materials you need to refer to. Finally, Clause 3, Terms and Definitions, is where we clarify the key terminology used throughout the document. This ensures that everyone interprets the terms consistently, which is crucial for effective communication and implementation. Overall, these clauses lay the groundwork for the entire standard, connecting the purpose, foundational references, and clear terminology to support a smooth application process. Let's take a closer look at Clause 4, which focuses on the context of the organization. It's essential to understand the environment in which we operate, including internal and external factors that can affect our OH&S management system. This helps us identify risks and opportunities early on. Moving to 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of workers and other interested parties is crucial. This includes employees, contractors, regulators, and even the community. By recognizing what they expect from us, we can better align our safety efforts with their needs and build trust. In 4.3, we define the scope of our OH&S management system. This means clearly outlining what parts of our organization and activities are covered. Having a well-defined scope ensures everyone knows what safety standards apply and what areas might need more attention. Finally, 4.4 covers the OH&S management system itself. It's about establishing a structured approach to managing health and safety, including policies, procedures, and resources to maintain a safe working environment. Now, turning to Clause 5, leadership and worker participation are at the heart of an effective safety culture. Leadership and commitment, in 5.1, mean that top management must actively support and drive safety initiatives, demonstrating their importance. Clause 5.2 emphasizes the OH&S policy, a clear statement of our commitment to health and safety. It sets the tone for the entire organization and guides our actions. In 5.3, organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities must be clearly defined. Everyone should know their part in maintaining safety, which helps prevent gaps and overlaps. Finally, 5.4 highlights the importance of consultation and participation of workers. Engaging employees in safety discussions not only improves our practices, but also fosters a culture of shared responsibility and continuous improvement. All these points tie back to our overall goal: creating a safe, healthy, and proactive work environment where everyone is involved and informed. Now let's look at Clause 6, which focuses on planning within our management system. First, we have actions to address risks and opportunities. This involves identifying what could go wrong or right, and then planning how to handle those aspects effectively. Under 6.1.1, we consider the general approach, thinking broadly about risks and opportunities across all areas. Moving to 6.1.2, hazard identification, risk, and opportunity assessment, or HIRA, is a crucial step. It helps us systematically spot hazards, evaluate risks, and seize opportunities to improve safety and performance. Next, 6.1.3 emphasizes the importance of determining legal and other requirements, knowing what laws, regulations, and standards apply so we stay compliant and informed. Then, 6.1.4 is all about planning actions, developing specific strategies to address identified risks and opportunities. Shifting to Section 6.2, we focus on occupational health and safety objectives and how to achieve them. Under 6.2.1, setting clear OH&S objectives gives us concrete goals to work toward, aligning safety efforts with our overall business aims. Finally, 6.2.2 highlights planning actions to reach these objectives, defining the steps, resources, and responsibilities needed to make continuous safety improvements. Overall, this section underscores that effective planning, anticipating risks, understanding legal requirements, and setting clear objectives is fundamental to maintaining a safe and compliant workplace. Now let's take a closer look at Clause 7, which focuses on support. Support is essential for ensuring that our management system functions effectively. It's divided into several key areas. First, resources, making sure we have the right people, tools, and infrastructure in place. Then, competence, ensuring our team has the necessary skills and knowledge to perform their roles effectively. Next is awareness, making sure everyone understands their role in our system and how their work impacts overall performance. Moving on to communication. This is critical for sharing information clearly and timely, both internally and externally. Within communication, we have general communication practices, internal communication, which involves sharing information within the organization, and external communication, which covers interactions with outside stakeholders. Finally, documented information plays a vital role. It includes creating, updating, and controlling documents. These records support consistency and compliance. Creating and updating documents must be handled carefully to ensure accuracy, and controlling documented information helps us maintain integrity and accessibility. All of these support elements are interconnected. They help us build a strong foundation for our management system, ensuring everyone is aligned and informed, which ultimately drives continuous improvement and success. Now, let's dive into Clause 8, which focuses on operation. First, under 8.1, we have operational planning and control. This involves setting up clear processes to ensure operations are carried out safely and efficiently. It's about making sure everyone understands their roles and responsibilities in maintaining safety during daily activities. Within that, 8.1.1 covers general principles, basically, establishing a solid framework for managing operations. Then, 8.1.2 emphasizes the importance of eliminating hazards and reducing occupational health and safety risks. This is key because prevention is always better than cure, identifying hazards early and mitigating risks before they cause harm. Next, 8.1.3 highlights management of change. Whenever there's a shift, be it in processes, equipment, or personnel, we need to manage those changes carefully to avoid unintended safety issues. And 8.1.4 focuses on procurement and contractor management, ensuring that safety standards are upheld not just within our organization, but also with external partners and suppliers. Finally, 8.2 deals with emergency preparedness and response. It's about being ready for unforeseen incidents, having plans in place, training staff, and ensuring resources are available to respond effectively. This overall framework ties into our broader goal, creating a safe, proactive work environment where risks are managed at every stage of operation. Now, let's take a closer look at Clause 9, which focuses on performance evaluation. This section emphasizes the importance of monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation to ensure our management system is effective. Under 9.1.1, we have a general overview of these activities, highlighting that regular assessment helps us understand how well we are meeting our objectives. Moving to 9.1.2, evaluating compliance is crucial. It's about checking if we are adhering to relevant standards and legal requirements. Next, we have internal audits under Clause 9.2. Starting with 9.2.1, the focus is on the general purpose of audits, to systematically review our processes and identify areas for improvement. Then, 9.2.2 discusses the internal audit program, which should be planned and documented to ensure thorough coverage and consistency. Finally, Clause 9 concludes with management review, where leadership evaluates the overall performance of the management system and makes strategic decisions based on the gathered data. Now, moving on to Clause 10, which centers on improvement. The first part, 10.1, underscores the importance of constantly identifying opportunities for improvement and implementing changes accordingly. This proactive approach helps us stay ahead and adapt effectively. Then, 10.2 deals with incidents, nonconformities, and corrective actions. These are moments when things don't go as planned, and addressing them promptly is key to preventing recurrence. Lastly, 10.3 emphasizes continual improvement, which is about fostering a culture where we are always seeking ways to enhance our processes, products, and services. This ongoing effort aligns with our overall goal of achieving excellence and maintaining a robust management system that evolves with our needs. Let's take a closer look at ISO 9001-2015, which is a widely recognized standard for quality management systems. This version emphasizes a strong focus on customer satisfaction, leadership involvement, and continuous improvement. It encourages organizations to adopt a process-based approach, ensuring that all processes are aligned and effectively managed to deliver quality outcomes. One of the key aspects is risk-based thinking, which helps identify potential issues early on and proactively address them. Overall, ISO 9001-2015 underscores the importance of leadership commitment and a culture of quality throughout the organization to achieve long-term success. This standard really ties into our broader theme of building resilient and customer-focused organizations. Now, let's look at some of the key benefits of implementing ISO 9001. First, it leads to better quality products and services, which is fundamental in meeting customer expectations. When quality improves, customer satisfaction naturally increases, and this also helps in acquiring new clients. ISO 9001 also helps minimize mistakes by establishing clear processes and standards, which reduces errors and rework. It enhances reporting and communication within the organization, making sure everyone is on the same page and problems are identified early. Another important benefit is more reliable production scheduling and delivery. When processes are well managed, you can plan better and meet your delivery commitments consistently. This standard also promotes better internal management practices, leading to a more organized and efficient work environment. It contributes to less wastage, both in terms of materials and time, which directly impacts your bottom line. Overall, these improvements lead to increased efficiency, productivity, and profit. Finally, ISO 9001 is a globally recognized standard, which not only boosts your credibility, but also opens doors to international markets. When you adopt ISO 9001, you're demonstrating a commitment to quality that resonates worldwide, supporting your overall business growth and reputation. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Let's take a closer look at ISO 14001-2015, which is a key standard for environmental management systems. This version, updated in 2015, emphasizes a more structured and strategic approach to managing environmental responsibilities. It encourages organizations to integrate environmental considerations into their overall business processes, making sustainability a core part of their operations. One of the most important concepts here is the focus on a life cycle perspective, thinking about the environmental impact from the design phase all the way through to disposal. It also promotes a risk-based approach, helping organizations identify and manage potential environmental risks proactively. Furthermore, ISO 14001-2015 emphasizes leadership and commitment from top management, ensuring that environmental goals are aligned with broader business objectives. This standard fosters continuous improvement and encourages organizations to measure their performance regularly. Overall, adopting ISO 14001-2015 not only helps organizations reduce their environmental footprint, but also enhances their reputation and compliance. It's about creating a sustainable approach that benefits both the planet and the business itself. Let's take a closer look at some key benefits of implementing ISO 14001. First, in terms of environmental impact, this standard helps organizations reduce waste, emissions, and resource consumption, which ultimately improves sustainability. It's about doing business in a way that minimizes harm to our planet. Next, legal compliance is a major advantage. ISO 14001 ensures that companies stay in line with environmental laws and regulations, which reduces the risk of legal issues or fines down the line. Cost savings also play a big role. By using resources more efficiently, like energy, water, and raw materials, organizations can significantly cut costs, boosting their overall efficiency. Risk management is another critical benefit. The standard helps identify potential environmental risks early on, so you can control or prevent problems before they escalate. Now, on the market front, having ISO 14001 certification can give your organization a competitive edge. It enhances your reputation and opens doors to environmentally conscious customers and markets, which are increasingly important today. Building trust with regulators, investors, and the public is also vital. ISO 14001 helps establish credibility and demonstrates your commitment to environmental responsibility. Employee engagement is another positive outcome. When staff are involved in eco-friendly practices, it boosts morale and fosters a culture of sustainability within the organization. Continual improvement is at the heart of ISO 14001. It encourages organizations to keep evaluating and enhancing their environmental performance over time, leading to ongoing progress. Supply chain benefits shouldn't be overlooked. The standard helps you meet the environmental requirements of major clients and partners, which is often a key factor in business relationships. Finally, ISO 14001 is designed to integrate smoothly with other management systems like ISO 9001 and ISO 45001, thanks to its shared structure in Annex SL. This makes it easier for organizations to manage multiple standards efficiently. Overall, these benefits collectively support the idea that adopting ISO 14001 not only improves environmental performance, but also strengthens your organization's overall resilience and competitiveness. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Let's take a closer look at the table comparing clauses and subclauses across ISO 45001, ISO 14001, and ISO 9001. Starting with Clause 4, which focuses on the organizational context, each standard emphasizes understanding the environment in which the organization operates. For ISO 45001, this involves analyzing the occupational health and safety context, stakeholder needs, the scope of the system, and key processes. ISO 14001, on the other hand, emphasizes assessing environmental context, interested parties, scope, and processes related to environmental management. Meanwhile, ISO 9001 centers on understanding the organizational context, stakeholder expectations, its scope, and QMS processes. Moving to Clause 5 on leadership, all three standards highlight the importance of leadership accountability. ISO 45001 calls for leadership to take responsibility for health and safety policies and worker participation roles. ISO 14001 focuses on executive leadership's role in environmental policy and defining responsibilities. ISO 9001 emphasizes executive commitment, the quality policy, and clear organizational roles. In Clause 6, planning is critical. ISO 45001 covers hazard identification, risk and opportunity assessments, legal compliance, and setting objectives with detailed planning. ISO 14001 addresses environmental aspects, compliance obligations, and risks and opportunities with a focus on environmental objectives. ISO 9001 concentrates on risk and opportunity actions, setting quality objectives, and overall planning to achieve continuous improvement. Clause 7 on support emphasizes resources, competence, awareness, communication, and documentation across all standards. ISO 45001 highlights resource allocation and worker awareness. ISO 14001 emphasizes environmental competence and communication, and ISO 9001 details support through documented information and ensuring organizational competence. When we look at Clause 8 on operation, all standards require operational controls. ISO 45001 focuses on safety controls, contractor management, procurement safety, and emergency preparedness. ISO 14001 emphasizes environmental operational controls, considering life cycle aspects and supplier controls. ISO 9001 covers planning and control of design, development, outsourced processes, production, and nonconformities management. Clause 9 involves performance evaluation. ISO 45001 includes monitoring, measurement, audits, incident investigations, and management reviews related to health and safety. ISO 14001 emphasizes environmental monitoring, legal compliance, and audit reviews. ISO 9001 stresses customer satisfaction, audits, and management reviews to ensure ongoing performance improvement. Finally, Clause 10 on improvement highlights the importance of addressing nonconformities, corrective actions, and ongoing improvement initiatives. ISO 45001 focuses on incident management and continual health and safety improvements. ISO 14001 emphasizes resolving nonconformities, implementing corrective actions, and ongoing environmental performance improvements. ISO 9001 similarly prioritizes dealing with nonconformities through corrective actions and fostering continual quality improvements. Overall, this comparison shows how each standard aligns in structure, but tailors its clauses to focus on specific aspects of occupational health and safety, environmental management, and quality management, reinforcing the integrated approach to organizational excellence. Let's take a closer look at the key terms across ISO 14001, ISO 45001, and ISO 9001. On this table, we see how each standard approaches fundamental concepts, starting with aspect impact, which is specific to ISO 14001. It refers to the environmental aspects of activities, products, or services that can affect the environment, along with their impacts and control measures. Notice that this concept doesn't directly appear in ISO 45001 or ISO 9001. Moving to hazard, which is a core concept in ISO 45001. This represents any source that has the potential to cause harm, such as injury or illness, which is analyzed through a hazard identification process like HIRA. This term isn't used in ISO 14001 or ISO 9001. Next, risk is a common term across all three standards, but its focus differs. In ISO 14001, it relates to environmental risks like pollution or waste. In ISO 45001, it's about health and safety risks. And in ISO 9001, risks threaten product or service quality. Opportunity is another shared concept. Each standard encourages organizations to look for opportunities to improve. For ISO 14001, it's about enhancing environmental performance. For ISO 45001, it's about improving occupational health and safety. And for ISO 9001, it's about increasing customer satisfaction. Legal compliance is straightforward. All standards emphasize the importance of complying with relevant laws and regulations, whether environmental, health and safety, or quality requirements. When we consider interested parties, these are the individuals or organizations affected by the organization's performance. For ISO 14001, it's those impacted environmentally. For ISO 45001, stakeholders affected by health and safety issues, and for ISO 9001, customers, suppliers, and regulators. Nonconformity refers to deviations from the requirements of each management system. Corrective actions follow to address these nonconformities, aiming to eliminate causes and prevent recurrence. Documented information is vital across all standards. These are the documents and records that demonstrate control over the management system components. Continual improvement is a cornerstone of each standard, emphasizing the ongoing process of enhancing environmental, safety, and quality performance. Regarding life cycle perspective, only ISO 14001 explicitly requires organizations to consider environmental impacts from cradle to grave, ensuring a comprehensive view of environmental performance throughout a product's life cycle. Worker participation is specific to ISO 45001, highlighting the essential role workers play in health and safety decisions, fostering a safer workplace. Finally, customer satisfaction is central to ISO 9001, reflecting its core focus on consistently meeting customer needs and expectations. And lastly, the process approach is foundational for all three standards, providing a structured way to manage activities as interconnected processes, whether for environmental management, occupational health and safety, or quality management, helping organizations achieve their objectives effectively. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I truly appreciate your interest and engagement throughout this presentation. Remember, the key points we've discussed are all about understanding the importance of collaboration, innovation, and continuous improvement in achieving our goals. I hope this has inspired you to think differently and to take actionable steps forward. If you have any questions or want to discuss further, please don't hesitate to reach out. Once again, thank you very much for being such a great audience.